We have very big news in the Take Care of Maya trial. And we're going to talk about 3 points. The first will be a quick summary because I've had some questions about Bata, Maya's mother, Kowalski. And the second part is going to be big. And I hope to explain it briefly so you kind of get the overview. Last thing is, many of you may not be interested in this, but I'm going to share just a little bit about how I'm doing, relocated, and then answer just a few questions. I'll keep that pretty briefly. Bata, as you know, Bata is Maya Kowalski's mother that took her life. So trigger warning for this. Bata came from Poland. At the end of the war, it was under communist rule, and when they were freed, they were able to immigrate to the United States through Ellis Island. So we were accepting many immigrants from around the world because of the explosion in the industry part of our country. Okay, so Bata learned English. She came here when she was around a teenager. They spoke Polish in the home. Her older sister still speaks Polish. She knows some English, but we needed a translator for her. So that'll give you just a sense of her background. As she worked herself through college, Bata became a registered nurse. And as that continued, she became a nurse that performs infusions. So that gives you a sense of Bata. Now, Jhach, her husband, explained, I think it was in a deposition, I don't think it's in front of the jury, but he explained that she was very protective. Like, an example was, we're going fishing and caught a baby alligator. Mom came out of the mom alligator rushed out of the water, and they ran back and got into safety. So that's an example of the way that he described Bata. So, as you know, in this trial, the court granted Dr. Sally Smith a shelter order and separated from the idea that there was child abuse, and particularly well known as Munchausen by proxy, that it was from the mother. Now, that particular diagnosis also includes that the mother is aware that she's abusing her daughter with continuous medical intervention. And I've even heard it suggest that with the ketamine, that it could be possible that the mother became a drug addict and was taking quite a bit of the ketamine that was prescribed for Maya. We have absolutely no proof of that. I don't believe it, but I just wanted to throw it out there as a way to see kind of a possibility of how those things can come about. And I also want to talk about Bata at the hospital. Jhach took Maya to the hospital in October with a lot of pain. So Bata finished her work shift, came to the hospital. It's reported that as soon as she got there, they were still in the emergency room, that Bata began yelling at her husband. Now, that's what the hospital says. We haven't heard anything about that from the prosecution. And was dominating and very insistent that they give Maya these high doses of ketamine because she had seen improvement, and at that time it was somewhat experimental for people who had chronic pain syndrome. So, after Maya was sheltered, and there's a little place I'd like to talk about right there, but I'm going to wait till another video. Evening, while her son and her husband had gone to bed, that she took her life. In the garage, it tells a little bit about the way that a belt was around her neck, and that she had jumped off of something. All right, let's head into we'll need a swoop-de-swoop, head into the big news. Yesterday evening, as the trial was beginning to wrap up, the prosecution had laid out a few breadcrumbs, and the defense for the hospital most definitely stepped in it. When I say stepped in it, it's big time. Or you can say that S hit the fan. There's so many ways that you can talk about that. But the important part is, how did they do that and why it's pivotal in this case. Put on a witness, and I'm sorry I didn't write the name down, but the defense put up a witness that painted a picture for the jury that the evaluations for the hospital had, what did Judge Carroll say? I'll come up with it in a minute. They had passed these evaluations with flying colors. And that's not true. So, since they opened the door to evaluations for the hospital and rebuttal, the prosecution hit hard, which is exactly what they should do, and they're glad that they were able to get it in. The truth is, brought in their big guns because he's very aware of the top tiers of management in hospitals and how evaluations go. So they were able to bring in that there was a surprise visit to the hospital because of multiple complaints. And it began in the cardiac unit. This part I haven't been able to verify, but it makes perfect sense that due to the failure of the hospital in the cardiac unit, they lost 2 patients that died. And during that time, I think it was right after Maya's day, but it was within the 3 years. They come in every 3 years, go back through the system to see how they will do on their evaluation. This surprise visit was terrible for the hospital. They called it an IJ, which I think I want to get this right, exactly right. The IJ was the hospital was put in immediate jeopardy, and that is in regards to their affiliation, the accreditation that the hospital has. So it knocked the hospital really hard. It was unbelievable. So then Attorney Hunter did everything, and this keeps this is so funny. I have there are certain jingles that just kind of have stuck with me, and if you've seen the play about the whorehouse in Texas that was famous for a long time, they called it the Chicken Ranch. The mayor of the town, when he was asked about it, he did, I'll show you. So, ooh, I love to dance, a little side step. Now you see me, now you don't. And this is exactly what Hunter did. Because the judge began asking him, outside of the jury, very pointed questions. He wanted to know if this problem at the hospital was only in the cardiac unit. And so Attorney Hunter did his sidestep things And the Judge Carroll was not having it. He almost exploded, but he said, take 5. And then came back, and Attorney Hunter was trying the same thing again. So Judge Carroll said, or Attorney Hunter was trying to point to and say he didn't really know the details in that report, and then the summary and the improvement plan. He was just trying to dodge and go any way around it. And so Judge Carroll said, I will order the hospital to release everything, and you will stay. Your executives will come in, and you will pay for them at your expense, and we'll do it all night, because the prosecution needs this information if you're not going to answer these questions. So, it did come out in the proffer that they were in immediate jeopardy. Get away, Fly. You want to be in the video? They were in immediate jeopardy of losing their accreditation. Get out of here. I'm going to do like a bomb and catch the fly on camera. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw that, but they were in immediate jeopardy from the 3 prior years. It was in September, I believe, of 2017. So it stretched back through the years that Maya was in the hospital. And from what they got from the proffer, I believe it was Dr. Anderson, explained that these type of things are not directed toward just one area in the hospital. They are issued because of systemic problems across the board, and management and not having checks and balances carefully. And so some of the doctors were just going rogue. And when this hit, people started, or doctors, let me say, began to quit and move out. They were gone quickly. Obviously, they still have the names in the report, but they didn't want to be associated with something as egregious as this. So, we ended yesterday on fire. And if I'm not mistaken, there were 2 times that Judge Carroll said, we'll take 5, and went back to cool off. So, Judge Carroll has, I think he's awesome. I think his name's Hunter Carroll. He has been very, very understanding. Given so much latitude to both sides, but called balls and strikes kind of down the middle. Obviously, judges make some calls that the sideline, what do you call them, armchair judges would say, I don't think so, but they're not in the situation at the time. So, I'm not going there. And that's our big news. It's pivotal, and at this point, it's very likely that the prosecution is going to win. Of course, they're suing for $220 million. So we have a lot of eyeballs on this case. Other hospitals are going to be aware of that, and if this ends in the way we think it will change the way hospitals govern their business. It's a business for them. They govern that, and they get in millions, sometimes daily, by billing insurance companies. It's really a crazy mess, and I am pro-justice, so that we know. Let me tell you one more thing. I am so excited that we have cameras in the court for this. Just I'm beside myself. Because obviously all of us can't go and sit in the courtroom, but since it's open to the public, then now that our country's doing some changes, it's good that we can watch it. And it's not like in the Lori Vallow Daybell trial that they would release the audio in the evening and reporters would have to pay a great deal of money just to put up the audio. And obviously that courtroom was packed. But back to my third point. It's been so kind that several of you asked what happened with me losing my flower farm. I took a hit and it's been gut-wrenching. I am in my brother's home while he's away, and during this time I've found some land that is raw land. It will be a lot of work, but it would be great to expand the flower farm. So as we go, one of you told me it's going to get better soon. And I held on to that. And thank you. I read every comment. I reply to everything. It's just my opinion. I'm just replying with my opinion. I try to share all facts. Occasionally you'll see that I threw in something that I don't have the evidence to back up, like their hospital settlement with these two other families for $64 million. I do not have the proof of that, but it has been reported a couple of times from reputable sources. So I'm doing okay. I think it really helped for me to follow this trial because I'm very passionate about Jhach was hiding this any way they possibly could. They wanted to keep it out. And if it would have been presented earlier, it would have been ruled out because it's so much more prejudicial than probative. That's where we are, guys. Now the jury's going to come back, I believe, on Monday. They're hoping to wrap up everything with closing statements, and the judge said it's possible that they would be able to deliberate on Monday, and if not, it was going to be on Tuesday. The judge did not want this to go over for this long because he has another big trial that's set to start on Monday, and scheduling is a nightmare. So that's where we are. I'll keep you updated as we go. And thanks for all your thanks for all your kindness and your questions. I really appreciate it. Oh, I forgot to say, let's see. Likes are awesome. And then I'm at, I think, 16. Only need 16 subscribers to hit the first milestone. And it's really very exciting. I didn't realize I was going to start feeling this way. So if you have friends, relatives, or somebody that you can share this with, that'll click subscribe. Oh, I'd love it. Okay, I'll see you soon.